Right. Like East Bay Area, that market.
By JV, right? Well, first, what is JV? If you don't know what is JVing, that's joint venturing with other investors in the market, right? Whether you have a contract and you need help finding a buyer, and you're just like, hey, I don't really have the time to find a buyer, or I don't have the skills to find a buyer, I don't know where to find a buyer at, and you're willing to just to let somebody else do it and pay them 50% of the profit. Right now, when I first started, I was like, I got my first deal under contract, right? And I posted it in the Facebook group. That's what I knew, right? I'm like, okay, let me get a deal under contract, post it in Facebook. Let me see if I can find a buyer. I had a whole bunch of people hitting me up. People were offering to JV. And my thought process when I was brand new in the business, this is about 4 years ago now, 3, 4 years ago now, brand new in the business. And I'm like, man, I'm not about to JV with you, give you 50% of my deal for what? Right? Like I did all the work. I found the buyer, I found the seller, I got the contract. It's I did all the work. Why would you deserve 50%? But as I started to find my own buyer, I realized, oh shit, really quick, this was a whole separate business model, right? Dispo and deals, finding buyers. You can make that a business model on its own, right? That's a full-time job, finding buyers and dispoing deals. So what happened when I had my first deal and I was looking so hard for finding buyers. Mind you, the way I got this deal under contract was I was cold calling myself. I was following up with the leads and I was getting contracts signed, right? So I got the contract signed from doing the follow up, doing the cold call outreach myself. Now I'm in the place where I'm looking for a buyer, right? As I'm looking for a buyer, as I'm every day calling buyers, every day posting this deal, who is cold calling now? Who's generating leads? Who's getting more contracts for me to sell? Nobody. And I ended up selling that deal. I sold it, made some good money. But what happened was it took me like another 5 months to get another deal because I was no longer generating leads. I was no longer calling people. So I was thinking, I'm like, dang, how do I continue to do what I'm good at, which is closing deals and talking to sellers? How can I do that all day and have somebody else do my dispo for me? Right. So what I started to do when this is when I was a one-man show was I found dispo wholesalers. I found people like we are today to who are really good at dispo, who have the team, who have the processes, who have the system set up. And I was like, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get as many contracts as I can possibly get. And I'm going to send them straight to you to sell them. The person that I was selling them to, her name was Caroline, right? So I was sending them to Caroline. Caroline was selling our deals. She was pushing them on the platforms that she had because that was her job. She was a full-time dispo wholesaler. Every deal that we closed, she'd get 50%, we'd get 50%. And I mean me, I'd get 50%, right? So I was like, this is awesome, right? Because now I can focus on building my business. I can focus on building my acquisitions business, mastering my craft, getting really, really good at closing deals. And then when I'm ready to start building my dispo team, my dispo process, then I can do that, right? Because now I built out my acquisitions team. And once my acquisitions team started working without me, started doing deals without me, making calls without me being there, and closing contracts without me being there, then I was able to focus on the dispo side and bring on people like the team we have on today to do more dispo, right? So that's the first way that we can do deals together, and that's dispoing. So let me see a one in the chat right now, guys. If you're actively marketing to sellers, if you're actively looking to get contracts on a daily basis, and you're calling sellers, whether you're cold calling, whether you're texting, whether you're doing PPC, you're talking to sellers on a daily basis. Got ones in the chat. Joel says, how long have you been doing this now? I've been doing this for 3 years now, coming up on 4. We got some ones from Q in the chat. What up, Q? Awesome. So if you're generating leads, right? If you're currently generating leads and you're where I was at back in the day, where I'm like, look, if I take my foot off this gas calling leads, nobody's calling leads. Nobody's closing deals, right? That's an issue. You have a problem, right? Because as soon as you get a contract, as soon as you get a deal and you have to take your time off to go find a buyer, you are no longer going to be closing deals. And it's going to take you so long to go find another buyer. And I know it may sound good, right? Like, okay, I keep 100% of the deal. But when you look at it, like when you look at like big businesses and how they actually operate, like if you look at like Amazon, right? Like Bezos gets like he's like 5% owner of Amazon. He's not a huge percentage owner of Amazon, right? He doesn't get a huge cut of every single deal because there's so many people he understands that have to get paid. And he understands a business that's running and consistently making money is going to be there forever, right? So if your focus is to build a business and build a business that one day will work without you, you need to find people who can do things that will take your time, that are taking your time away from doing what you're great at or doing what you're building right now, right? So this is something we're going to talk about because I think I'm going to have to dispo my out of state stuff. No, for sure. That, you know, if you have markets out of state, finding buyers in other states and finding title companies and all this stuff is super hard. It's stressful. It takes a lot of time, right? So if you guys are, if that is you, right? If you feel like I'm talking to you right now, I have a way for us to JV and do deals together. Let me put a link in the chat. So if you want to dispo, right? So if you want us to dispo for you, if you have deals under contract, you're marketing for seller, you're marketing to sellers, we have deals under contract. You want to click this, save this link right here, this link below. Save this link below, and what's going to happen is when we click on this link, let me share my screen quick. Hopefully my my computer stays Gucci with us today. All right, so you guys can see this screen here. When you click on this link, Donnie says my biggest challenge, but finding buyers has been my biggest challenge. Well, lucky for y'all, finding buyers is like Toddy's biggest strength, right? Like from like me personally, right? Like finding buyers isn't my biggest strength. That's why I found a partner like Toddy that's really good at finding buyers, right? So so we're all speaking the same language, right? Margaret says I'm good at acquisitions, but never dispo anything but once. I need someone help to dispo. We were the same way. Like I feel that. I feel you. I've been there. Trust me. And this is what we did. We connected with people that were good at this, good at dispo, right? So we could focus on acquisitions and we could focus on building that team and building a system that can work without us, right? So we'll click on this link. You put your information in, right? Your JV partner, you put your name. So I'll put Daryl here, Ellison. My email is daryl@jvwithdaryl.com. My phone number. We'll put all this information in, right? We put the reason why we put your date of birth here is because we want to oh yeah, there we go, jvwithog.com. Thank you, Toddy. jvwithog.com. You go in here, you fill all this stuff out, right? And somebody on our team would contact you instantly, right? And you'll get a yes or no within 24 hours if we can move this deal for you or not. Okay. So if we can move the deal for you, we'll let you know. We'll here, let me put this, let me highlight this. jvwithog.com. Make it simple for y'all. If this is a deal that we can move, if it's a movable deal, we can move, we're going to move it for you, right? If it's not, we'll send you feedback on why it's not a deal. Okay. So even if it's not a deal, right, you will learn something in the process. You know, we'll work on sending, not all the time, but there may be a time where we'll send a Loom video on, okay, this is not how you should comp this. You should comp it this way, right? And even if this deal doesn't work, we're going to always want to work with you in the future, right? So Joel says, so do we need to get the seller on board first and you guys do the rest? Exactly, right? So if you have a contract, this is specifically if you have a property under contract and you want us to dispo for you. Right now, I'm going to go into this is just one way that we can help you with dispo. Right. Hold on, man. We 10 minutes into this. Let me see if y'all getting some value. This is some sauce. Let me see a fire in the chat, a one in the chat, something, because we got some information to share. This is just step one, just way one on how we can help you make more money, right? Is we can sell your deals for you. If you have properties that you're locking up, remember, if you're generating leads, you're calling sellers and you need help dispoing deals, we can dispo for you. Now, on the other hand, right, if you're not even getting to that part yet to where like you're getting deals under contract and you're like, hold on, like slow down. Like you're talking about dispo. I need help closing deals, right? Like we have people. So there's there's this guy named Luke, right? Luke is a friend of mine, and Luke wanted to get into wholesaling as well. He's seen that we were wholesaling. He reached out and he said, hey man, I've been generating leads, and when it's time for me to get on the phones, I freeze up. He's like, me getting on the phones is not a good idea. Not only do I not like it, I just don't want to do it. Right. So I'm like, okay, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just generating a whole bunch of leads. I have a lot of leads just sitting here in my pipeline that nobody's calling right now. I'm like, well, that's not a good thing. That's not a good place for him to be, right? Like somebody should be calling those leads. Why not send them to us, right? Why not allow my team, my system, my automated system call these leads on your behalf, and you get paid for them once we close deals, right? So what we did was, again, remember guys, like we put this together out of necessity, right? Like when I first started 3 years ago, I had no other way to get leads, right? But I knew how to close deals. Okay, so I wanted to find people who, one, like we just talked about, people who the way we just talked about, that's what we're doing now, right? Like we can help you dispo anything right now. But when I first started, I had no way to even generate leads. So I wanted to find people who are really good at that and just either didn't have the time to make calls or just didn't want to make calls in the first place, right? So it was out of necessity. And we were able to come up with systems and processes to make this a true win for somebody who just the phones isn't for them, right? So what we did was we broke down the wholesale business into 4 different parts. If you have a pen and paper, like write this down so you don't forget, you can understand how we break this down, but it's pretty simple, right? We break it down in 4 different parts. We have our lead generation, we have our acquisitions, which is closing the deal, we have our dispo, which is selling the deal, and then we have our transaction coordinating, right? So working with the title company, especially when a creative deal can get pretty tricky to underwrite and get the deal to the closing table, right? Like that's a whole different ball game. I know people who have transaction coordinating businesses because again, it's a whole business, right? So all 4 of those parts, you can have your own business doing. You can have your own lead generation business. You could have your own acquisitions business. You have your own dispo business. You could have your own TC business, right? Swarthy and Melanated. I don't do mentorship. Toddy does mentorship though. DM Toddy on Instagram at Toddy Virtual. DM Toddy on Instagram and find out how you can get into her mentorship program. So we broke it down into 4 different parts, right? And we gave each section 25%, right? So if somebody just generates a lead, if you are like, hey, I'm really good at generating leads, that's all I want to do. I want to have cold callers. I want to have text messages. I want to pay for marketing, right? Like whatever. You're generating leads on a regular and we close the deal for you and we dispo the deal for you and we do the TC, you get paid 25% for just generating a lead. Now, what I tell people all the time is we can definitely help you do the dispo. We can definitely help you do the TC. Like we're always going to do the TC because we're going to get it under contract, right? But if you're generating leads and you want us to close deals for you, we can structure it to where you're generating leads and you're getting paid 25% for every deal that we close for you. We'll close it, we'll do dispo, and we'll do TC, right? If you want to do 50-50, we're fine with that. We just say, hey, you bring the buyer to the table, right? We'll close it, we'll do the TC, you generate the lead and bring the buyer. We'll do a 50-50 on this deal, right? Now, if you're like, hey, that's cool, but I just don't want to find a buyer, then we'll gladly find a buyer. That's not an issue, right? So the second way that we can help is, like I said, we have people that, whether they are just an integrator, right, and they're just aren't people persons, right, or they just don't want to talk to sellers. They're just not good at talking to people. They're introverts, right? They just don't want to have conversations with people. Then we can close your leads for you. And it may not even necessarily be you're an introvert or you don't like to talk to people. You may want to send us a lead that you've already gave a cash offer to, right? But I understand creative finance on a whole nother level, right? So I'm able to take these dead leads that rejected cash offers and absolute, but they have to need to sell, right? They have to be motivated. I can turn those deals into creative finance deals, right? So if you bring a lead and you're like, hey, I offered this guy cash, he wants a crazy price, he's open to terms, right? And what we'll do in these other videos, because we'll do this weekly, right? I'll jump on here, Tadia jump on here. There's going to be times where I do creative finance training and how to bring people, how to bring leads to the table, right? How to bring creative leads to the table, how to disqualify, how to pitch creative finance so we can do these deals together, right? I want to help y'all turn these dead leads into cash, right? Like that's my bread and butter. Like I can sit here and do this all day, right? Like when Toddy jumps on here, she'll talk more about the dispo process, how we can dispo deals for you. But if you have leads that you need help closing, like that's my playing ground, right? So I'll step in and I could close these deals for y'all. And Destiny, yeah, if you send a lead, right? If you send the lead in, we break. I'll just rewind a little bit. If we're gonna JV, we break down our business. We break down the wholesale business into 4 different parts, right? Don't mind my crooked fingers, but we break it down into 4 different parts. We have our lead generation, 25%. We have our acquisitions, closing the deals, 25%. We have our dispo, selling the deal, 25%. And we have our TC, 25%, right? So if you send us a lead and you want us to close that deal, we'll close it, right? We'll close the deal. We'll get it under contract. We'll open escrow. We have an in-house TC that we pay for our deals, right? So that way you don't have to worry about calling a title company or nothing of that nature, right? So we'll do that. If you want us to find the buyer as well and sell the deal, we can do that as well. The split would be 75-25. If you want to bring a buyer to the table, we'll split it 50-50. But what we'll say is like, hey, let us know if you can't find a buyer in like a week because we need to sell this deal, right? Joel says, so if I bring the seller and the buyer, you lot are fine doing all the paperwork for 50-50. This will be a lot easier for work as well, doing from the UK. Yeah, first of all, it's dope that you're doing this from the UK. Second, yeah, if you bring the seller, we close the seller, you bring the buyer, we do the paperwork, we'll split the deal 50-50. Sounds like a great deal, right? It's a great deal to me. Destiny says, okay, never heard of it that way. Only did 50-50 splits. So we do 50-50 splits as well. If you have a contract, if you have a deal under contract and you want us to sell the deal, then we'll split it 50-50, right? We'll bring the buyer to the table. We'll split it 50-50. But if you want us to close the deal, sell the deal, and do the TC, we'll do 75-25. We'll pay you 25% for bringing us the lead. Because we have to remember, right? If you guys bring me a lead, there's no guarantee that lead will close right away, right? We actually, is a cool story. We actually just closed a deal in Lynchburg, Virginia, last month. It was a $16,000 wholesale assignment fee where the person who brought us this lead, he JV'd with us. He sent us this lead a year and a half ago, right? Literally a year and a half ago, he sent this lead. And last month, I called him randomly and I was like, hey, bro, what's your wire instructions? I got a deal for you. I got some money for you. Right? And he's like, what? Like, are you serious? He's like, bro, first of all, I want to commend you on your integrity because you didn't even have to, I forgot about that lead. He's like, you didn't have to pay me. Right? And he's like, second, this is crazy. It's a crazy surprise. You followed up with this guy for over a year and got a contract signed and got the deal done. Right? So with that being said, it takes a lot of follow-up. It takes a lot of calls. We probably called that guy, I don't know, probably over 100 times we called him over the past year and a half, right? So it takes a lot to actually take it from lead to contract, from contract to dispo, from dispo to close, right? So it takes a lot. So we'll split it 25, every position, every stage of the business is 25%. With that being said, right, you may be asking, like, how are they possibly keeping track of all these leads? Like, if I send a lead in, how are they going to keep track of this? How do they know it's my lead? How do I know what they're actually doing, right? And that was one thing that we found was a big issue when JVing when I first started, right? I had people calling my phone all day. Like, somebody sent me a lead and they'd be calling me every day, like trying to figure out what's going on with this lead. Now I'm running a business, I have a personal life. I can't take a call for one-off leads every single day, right? So I'm like, how do we come up with a system that makes everybody happy? So what we did was our new CRM, it sends automatic text messages and emails sending you updates, um, sending you updates as the leads go through our system, right? So if we just send an offer out and we push it into our offer sent section in our pipeline, you'll get a text saying, hey, we just sent the offer out on this property that you submitted. We'll be with details, right? And then also what happens is every right now, one in the chat if y'all can see me. One in the chat if y'all can see me. Test, test. Can y'all see me? Can y'all see me? Can y'all hear me? We still frozen? Are we good? We good? We're back now. We're back. All right, perfect. Appreciate y'all. So we have jvwithog.com for our leads, for our contracts. If you want us to sell a deal for you, go to jvwithog.com. We'll 50-50 on those deals, and you'll get paid, and you'll be able to go find more deals, right? Like that's the main part I want y'all to take away from that, right? It's your time. How much is your time worth, right? Is your superpower going to be closing deals, or is your superpower going to be finding buyers, right? Pick one. Leah, great question, right? So the markets, let me actually pull up our slideshow really quick, for y'all. Let me pull up the slideshow and go over our markets. So real quick, as we're doing this, let me go over the third way that we can partner, and then I'll go over this quick slideshow that shows our markets and everything like that. The third way is we have buyers, right? If you're a buyer in the area, and you're looking to buy more deals, you're looking to take control of your marketing. Some of the things that we do is, so we just closed a deal last week with Marcel. Marcel's a buyer in Savannah, Georgia. And Marcel's like, look, I'm tired of going through other wholesalers just taking what they have left. I want to generate my own leads, but I don't want to run a wholesale business. I'm like, all right, cool. Generate the leads and we'll close them for you, right? So Marcel has a marketing budget of $5,000 a month. He's putting $5,000 a month into a marketing channel that we talked about, we planned out, we had a conversation about. We gave him a game plan on how we can help him the most. And as those leads come in, we close the deals, and Marcel's our number one buyer for those deals, right? So as those leads come in, Marcel is the buyer, and we're able to assign those deals the same day. And we're coming up with creative deals. We're coming up with cash deals. It's been working very well. And the deals that he doesn't want to buy, we wholesale them, and he gets a percentage of the wholesale deal, right? He gets a 25% of the wholesale deal. Let me go through this PowerPoint quick. Let me see if y'all are still with me. One in the chat if my stream is still working, or am I frozen? Because sometimes it acts up. Let me see one in the chat if we're working. If y'all see me, if we're good. So partner with us. Our CEOs, you have Miss Toddy Tedemet, and you have myself, Daryl Ellison. Our core team is we have 3 lead manager VAs, we have 2 dispo VAs, and we have 2 closers. So y'all still with me here? Sorry about that. We froze up a little bit. I think it may do that again when I pull the PowerPoint up. So let me try again. If not, we can send you guys the rest of the markets that we're in. But let me try again really quick. All right, cool. So here's our revenue models. Here's kind of what I talked about earlier. And there's a couple more that I didn't talk about, right? So we have our sell us a deal. If you sell us a deal in our buy box, if you assign us a deal, we'll pay you $10,000 for that deal. We drop earnest money and we close in 10 to 25 days. We're looking to buy in Decatur, Georgia. We're looking for single family homes. And what we'll do is we'll email everybody our buy box. But we're looking for single family homes. We're looking for also for multifamily, smaller multifamily, 4 to around like 10 units. Where our idea is we want 1-story homes, and we're looking to make them group homes or assisted living facilities, things of that nature. So send us your deals in Decatur, Georgia, and surrounding areas of Atlanta and Jacksonville, Florida. We'll take a look at any deal, pay you good assignment fees for it. You can partner with us, right? We can JV 50-50. we'll bring our expertise and the funds on a deal, right? So if you can manage a project, this is if we're keeping houses, because we're buying properties as well, right? So if we're going to keep a property, we're going to buy property, we'll bring the funds and our expertise if you can manage the project, right? So say you have a deal in Georgia, in Decatur, and we're like, hey, we would 100% buy this. We have a strategy that can 10x the cash flow. We just need somebody who's local who can run the project, right, in Georgia or Jacksonville, and we'll split it 50-50. You can JV with us, like I talked about earlier. We'll do 50-50 on assignments, and then lead dump. So like I was talking about earlier, a lead dump is where we so we have people, like I was saying earlier, like Luke, right? Luke had he not only was he generating leads, but Luke also had a backlog of leads that he wasn't calling or talking to at all, right? So what he was able to do was he took a list, he got a CSV file of the list of all the leads that he's generated, and leads that he's generated, and he sent them all to us, right? Same with this guy named John Lim, right? You know, some people may know John Lim, but John Lim, one day he was just like, look, man, like I'm not wholesaling anymore. I'm getting out of the wholesale business. I want to focus on mobile home parks. I'm like, all right, cool. What are you going to do with all the leads that you've generated over the past 5 years of you marketing and doing real estate? He's like, I don't know. I guess nothing. I'm like, well, that's not the answer. The answer is you're going to send them to me, right? So he gave me a list, CSV files of about 3,000 leads that he's generated over the last 2-3 years. And we put that in our system. And now to this day, every other month, we're closing a deal with John Lim. Every other month, it's completely random. He gave me that list over a year ago. And every other month, we're closing a deal with John Lim. I don't think you guys understand like how that makes sense or how that sounds, right? Like this guy just sent me a list that he was done with. He wasn't even planning on calling it. And now every other month, he gets 25% on a 7 to 10K deal that we've done. His list is, we haven't been getting huge assignments, but we're getting at least 7 to 10K on each of those deals. He's getting 25% of that every other month without doing anything, right? So if you have leads and you are in that position as well where you generated leads and you're not following up with those leads, we can do lead dumps and we can take care of those lead dumps, and our lead managers, we like to pride ourselves on, we built a machine on the acquisition side. And this machine is going to follow up regardless. It's going to send text messages, it's going to send emails, it's going to borderline harass people. And eventually they're going to sell their house. And they're going to sell their house to the person that's on their mind the most, right? And it's going to be us because we're following up with them the most, right? So lead dumps is a great way to JV with us as well and partner with us as well. The markets that we're buying in Georgia, surrounding Atlanta, Decatur, Marietta, Warner Rock, like all these areas in Georgia, Jacksonville in Central Florida, so Tampa, Orlando, Sarasota, Texas, Beam County, Houston, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, the DMV, North Carolina, and Ohio, Cleveland suburbs. Our buy box is anything off market, single family, multifamilies, to commercials, office, and land. We're looking for all of that. And these are the deals that so we can JV, we can dispo in pretty much any major market. These specific markets are like, we have our flag in the ground in these markets, right? Like we have buyers. We may not even have to post a deal. We can send a text out to a couple people. We can send calls out. We have a lot of resources, and we could help move these deals easily in these markets if it's a deal, right? So that's how we JV. Again, if you guys have leads, if you guys have deals that you want us to sell for you, go to jvwithog.com and submit your deals. If you have leads that you want us to call, click this link right here. Sorry for that. It's not cooler. It doesn't have a website like JV with OG. So that's how we send leads. And if you have any questions about anything, do not hesitate to DM me. not hesitate to send Toddy a DM on Instagram on how we can help each other, right? How we can close deals together, how we can work together, how we can come up with a system that's beneficial for the both of us. Now, if you have, again, if you have leads that you want to send, if you have lead dumps that you want to send in, contact us. Reach out to us on Instagram, and we'll get back with you. We'll have a conversation about it. We want to help. I think we should come up with a goal for how many people that we want to help get, do JV deals. But I know for a fact we want to do at least $100,000 with our community members, without a doubt, um, before this year is over. Right. So if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, it's right here at Daryl Ellison. I don't have a course or anything. If you guys want to learn wholesaling, reach out to Toddy Virtual. She'll teach you everything. She's one of the best coaches, mentors in the business. She can help you learn anything virtual real estate, anything dispo, anything lead gen, anything acquisitions. Like, she's amazing at what she does. So if you are looking for a mentor in wholesaling, reach out to Toddy. And yeah, we're going to be doing this every Wednesday. Again, if you guys have questions, if you guys like what you guys seen, if you guys like the vibe, if you guys see yourself making money with us in the future, let me see a one in the chat and hit us up on Instagram. If you guys have any questions while we're here, I'll sit on here for a couple minutes. If you guys have any questions in the chat that I can answer, otherwise hit me up on Instagram. I respond to all my DMs. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about, Stan. That's the energy that I'm talking about, baby. Let's go, man. Yeah, but we're going live every Wednesday. I don't know if I'll be on here next Wednesday, but I know Toddy will be here next Wednesday. We're gonna go live every Wednesday. Let me not say every Wednesday, every week. Let's say every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, 3 o'clock. We'll be going live, 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. And the premise behind those is we're going to be giving y'all value, giving y'all game. So today I kind of wanted to talk about the way that we can JV, the way that we can do deals, the way that we can help. And then the next time y'all see me, I know I'm going to want to do a creative finance training, where we go a brief overview on not only just creative finance, but like how to talk to sellers creatively and how to get them to agree to having another phone call, right? And then we'll just schedule a phone call. We can even jump on a Zoom. If you guys want to learn the creative side of things, we can jump on a Zoom while I make the call with the seller. And there's a lot of different things that we can do. So hit us up, hit me up, hit Toddy up, click those links, jvwithog.com. Again, I'm going to bring this up here one more time, jvwithog.com. If you have deals that you want to submit for us to dispo, if you have leads that you want us to submit, I'm going to put it again here in the chat. Just copy that link. And yeah, we'll see y'all next Wednesday. Appreciate it, everybody. Peace out.